Hello everybody, Flik here, and welcome to Let's Chat, my weekly vlog series posted every Monday at lunchtime if you're in the UK. Today we'll be going through the questions and comments on last week's Let's Chat, and I thought rather than show off a retro game from my retro game box down there, what I could show off is the learning aids I used years back when I was trying to learn Japanese and I am now trying to get back into. If that's boring, I apologise, but that's what I'm going to do. Also, I thought I might want to show you something I've been whinging about in a couple of Isaac episodes recently. Do you remember I got a new bike? I posted a picture on Twitter actually. I just picked up the new bike the day before I'm recording this. Anyway, I also mentioned I had to pick up a helmet, and because of my weirdly shaped head, I had to get a really big and stupidly expensive helmet. Well, here it is. It looks kind of stylish, I think. I don't know if the Rebirth episode where I was talking about helmets and, you know, having to make them look cool these days because otherwise kids won't wear them, and there's a reason you have to have them. Even if you're perfectly safe, like you're the safest person in the world, that doesn't mean an idiot won't be the one to, you know, batter you. So yeah, that's my overly large, overly expensive, fancy ass bike helmet that I now wear like a nerd because I value my intelligence and what's stuck inside my head. I don't want my skeleton dripping out over this pavement. But yeah, that's that. And later today, I hope that I have time to actually get out and break my new bike in. I've been borrowing a bike up until now, but I have my own. I think it looks pretty nice, and if you want to see a picture of it, well, I could probably add one here as well, actually, so maybe I did that. You might be seeing it right now, or just prior to me saying this, who knows? Anyway, I think there was a comment on last week's Let's Chat about Japanese, because I asked a question, and I was curious for the answer. So, let me just turn myself pale white. Look at that. That is appalling. I wish there was an option to make like a dark version of YouTube, so it was all like blacks and greys rather than whites and greys. Anyway, yeah, it was the very first question because it was on top of my posting message of it. From the Deadpool Warrior, saying, I would love to learn Japanese. Right now I'm using Influent, which was really cool and is really good, but it's not for everybody. It's exceptionally good, unlike my grammar, for most people, but it only teaches you words and sentences. So far I've learned printer, desktop, computer, computer is how you would say it in Japanese, or what the translated is roughly. Games, TV, headphones, a bunch of food names, and everything in the toilet, smiley face. Including the toilet, of course, of course. He has 2 Japanese language things. It gives you the symbols for Japanese writing and the English alphabet words. I'm 2 versions of the word, allowing you to choose which one you prefer. So I know around about 76 words. That's a lot in such a small period of time, actually. So as it happens, I also spotted that the Influent games on Steam were on offer for like 75% off, so I did actually buy the Japanese one as well. They are not going to teach you a language. They are study aids to help you associate words with objects. You're not going to learn a language, you're not going to learn how to form sentences or anything like that, or grammar. It just teaches you words. Also, I'd be very cautious if you're picking a language different to Japanese. Read the reviews and find reviews specific for your language. Like for example, when I was looking into it, I saw there was quite a few comments saying that the German version of Influent is inaccurate and has mispronunciations in it. Take that very well, take it with a grain of salt. As for the program itself, I mucked around with it in a little bit. You're saying it uses like multiple forms of, well, it's kana, it's what you're looking for. You can have the words displayed in Hiragana, Katakana, or Romanji. Romanji is Japanese words written with English characters, which are the easiest to translate. So yeah, you can do that in all those. I gave it a little bit of a go. I would prefer to work from, well, I can show you. So I'm being a total nerd about this as if I was in an actual class. That's what I'm writing in for it, but we'll get on to that. This is something new I just bought the other day to help me, and it's that. Japanese, Hiragana and Katakana flashcards. It also comes with 2 massive posters which are now sitting up there and up there, so that I am constantly reminding myself, because of my busy schedule, I've decided that I can only set aside like say a few hours on one day a week, and it's going to be Wednesdays. Not that it matters me telling you that, but still, every Wednesday I'm going to set aside a few hours for me to get back into my studies of Japanese, and these are going to help me still kind of technically study while not, because anytime I look up there I'll be reminded of all the Hiragana, all the Katakana categories. It also comes with an audio disc. I haven't tried that yet, so I can't say whether that's useful, but what is useful for the basis of the language, in my opinion, what I'm planning on doing is I want to memorize Hiragana entirely. I don't want it to be 70%, 80%, 90%. I want to be perfect on it. Then do the same for kana, and then go right back to the start and kind of work through my workbooks that are actually teaching you sentence structure, grammar, words, etc. The basis of Japanese, definitely learn the kana. So on that subject, these are the flashcards it comes with. They have little explanations on the back, and it tries to give you pictures to like give, I don't remember the word, it's not phonetic, it's a different kind of onetic. Hang on, it's probably on the back of the box. It tries to make your mind associate the character with the picture, so then it's easier for you to remember when you recall it. It's on here somewhere. Where is it? Ah! Mnemonic. Mnemonic. Mnemonic? How the hell would you pronounce that in English? Either way, my plan for these I think is actually quite good. Every time I learn a set of the kana, katakana or hiragana, I put it on the keyring. And then on days where I'm not doing the actual studying out the workbooks I'll show you in a second, I just kind of go through these like multiple times. Yesterday I just picked them up and started saying, oh, what is that? That is nu. So then you would turn that around and you would look and see, indeed it is nu. And I would just kind of flip through them, and as I learn more characters I'll add them to this ring. And what I like about this a lot actually is you can unclip it rather, like that. Take them off, shuffle them like a deck of cards, put them on, and then leave them for a little while, pick them up and try and do them again, because otherwise you'll get used to them being in a certain order, and that's not good for learning, I think. So that's what I'm doing so far. I think this is a very handy aid. That is sa. I'll prove it. There, sa. And apparently they want you to remember it because it looks like someone's nose. He saw something that made him smile. Okay. And then it gives you some examples of words which use that character. It shows you it written in kana, and then romanji, and then the English, like sayonara, goodbye, sumimasen, Mr. Mrs. Smith, sashimi, raw fish, etc, etc. I just realised this is going to be so boring if you have absolutely no interest in learning a language, let alone one as complicated by comparison to English anyway. So that's the other book I'm working through. That is purely just to teach you hiragana. If you've got no interest in learning the language, but you play a lot of Japanese games and you want to have some knowledge to be able to translate, all you need is hiragana and katakana. That will probably do it in simple terms. So that's purely for helping you teach yourself the various symbols for hiragana, and it says hiragana written on the front. When I got this book years ago, I actually didn't write in it, I wrote on a notebook, but this time around I'm writing right onto it. I don't know if you can kind of see my attempts at Japanese writing there. So that's what I'm doing. I also have a katakana one I've never touched that I'm going to fill in after that one. And then once I've got all the kana memorised, fingers crossed, that's the Japanese from Zero books I studied years ago. I looked into it, there's much newer versions of these where it's got like anime characters on the front and it's much more colourful. They're also much more expensive than I paid for them, so I assume it's more or less the same content. So it's a little bit of a shame that it costs more. But that's the books I use. I think they are very good. I think they're effective. They teach you the kana as you go, but I think to speed me along, that's why I want to learn all the kana first. That's my plan. And I've been talking about this for almost 10 minutes, so let's ignore that and move on to the rest of the comments and questions, I guess. I apologise if that was of no interest to you, but I like bringing it up because it will encourage me to stick with it. So every Wednesday I'm going to try and do at least 2, maybe 3 hours of studying, and hopefully get back to at least where I was when I kind of drifted when I got a retail job that stressed me out. And then proceed from there and move on. And I don't think I'll ever become fluent. I think I'm too old to get there, but you know, I would like to have at least some reading comprehension of Japanese, if nothing else, even if I can't speak it very well. So anyway, there's not actually that many comments, so we'll get through those and then that'll probably do it. I have some more Monster Hunter to record after this. In fact, that's my 3DS sitting right there ready for me. Pardon me. The third pack of DLC actually got released this morning as well. Sadly it's mostly G rank, so I can't do any of it yet. But anyway, Spherical Cube says, continuing on the Japanese theme of the day, apparently, yes. I went to a Japanese restaurant last Saturday for a teppanyaki meal in which you basically have your own chef making all sorts of food for you on a giant metal hot plate. Never had the type of meal before, but I quite like it. Sadly, there wasn't any Japanese candy as a dessert though, that's sad. What's your opinion on Japanese food? I wish I loved Japanese food more than I do. The reason I don't is because they use a lot of fish, and I don't like fish. I can't really eat it. Other than like the basic ones like tuna, haddock, cod, scampi to a certain extent, I can't eat raw fish really. If I do have sushi, it's like duck sushi or tuna sushi. I can't have salmon, I don't like the taste. or miso soup, etc. I wish I did like it because Japanese food is very exotic compared to what we get here. So my opinion of it is it looks very nice, and I wish I could have more of it, but sadly they just use a lot of stuff that I don't like, so it's a shame. Their candy is great though. Very, very strange sometimes, but also great. Grinning Owl says, I actually figured that most of the complaints about the paid... Oh, this is in relation to Steam's paid mods, which actually are now gone, because apparently it cost Steam $1 million. They made like 10 grand on mod sales, but the back end, managing complaints, etc., and removing the silly apps and mods people put on to take the piss out of them, cost them $1 million apparently. So hopefully we learned our lesson. It was funny actually, they removed the paid mods from Skyrim an hour or two after Bethesda posted a blog post justifying why they were doing it. Never once addressing why they expected most of the money, incidentally, although Valve takes 30%, that's their flat rate. They take that for every sale on Steam, incidentally. So then that leaves the 70% that Bethesda thought, right, we're going to give 25% of that 70% to the content creator who's done the work here. Terrible, terrible idea. Glad it's gone. What I don't like though is Steam always think they're right. They're very much like Nintendo in that way, so they think they know better. We will see paid mods return. We will. Most likely on new games where there's not an established mod community because the game isn't out yet. So they'll assume that people will be fine with it in that regard because it will come out to everybody at the same time. The same problems are going to persist. It's a terrible idea, and I hope they get rid of all concepts of ever doing it. It's not going to work. They also recently added the ability for individual game devs to ban you from their game on Steam, which is also a bad idea, because they could use that to silence criticism, in my opinion. But either way. To get back to Grinning Owl's comment. Where are we? I figured that the most complaints about the paid mods was by people who were angry that something that has always been free is now costing them. In a manner of speaking, yes. Being as that I'm in game development racket myself, I can tell you that someone who legitimately puts in the work for those mods deserves a little tender in their pocket, more than they were being offered on Steam, which is why some of them offer donations, like the Long War mod for XCOM. Policing the mods was something I had not even thought of, and I think you're right. This is going to turn into a trashy situation really quickly. It super did. It went from conception to release to complaint to cancel over the course of like 2.5 days, which isn't, well, by internet standards I suppose that's a lifetime, isn't it? I've been a Nexus user for a long time, and I've seen significant fights break out over simply redistributing a mod. Adding a paid component to that may start a fire that Valve can't pour enough water on. Yeah, that's basically what happened. As for 25%, the pay for TF2 stuff is the same as far as I understand it. It shouldn't be if it's just Valve and the modder, because Valve takes 30%. Always. On every sale, it's 30%. Unless they've been shafting TF2 modders. if they have been getting shafted. They take 30% everywhere else, so... It'd be nice if YouTubers like that. Just 30%. Anyway, Xavier Mono. Referral code thing is fine. I don't have a problem with it, if when you do get back about it. Bloodborne focus equals awesomeness. I haven't actually started recording my New Game Plus playthrough. This weekend, or the weekend that just went when you're hearing this, I'm going to get my character just to level 100 and then kill the final boss and get him into New Game Plus. Why level 100? Just so it's a nice round number for New Game Plus, and then next week I will start recording it and we'll see how it goes. So what else is it that you said? Oh yes, the Akashi Connection referral code. Haven't heard back from them. So if you're still waiting, I think you might already be too late for this month because my charge for this month just came off. You don't need to wait. You'd only be saving $1. So if you want to sign up for next month, you go right ahead, but I haven't heard back from them yet. What the hell was that? Bin Lorry. That's what that was. So I haven't heard back from them yet. By the way, apologies if you hear all the clattering outside. As I say, it's the bin lorry picking up the recycling. Anyway, Haku Spilt. You're definitely Haku, but that surname I'm not sure. Happy to hear that you will play more Bloodborne. Happy for that. Thank you very much. By the way, is there a chance that you will play Lords of the Fallen sometime in the future? I'm very surprised that you did not cover Lord of the Fallen at all, as it seems to fit your channel so well. Waiting for Dark Souls 3, and a good day to all of you. Well, thank you for that. I did play Lords of the Fallen, actually. I got gifted it by... I can't remember who gifted it to me, rather. I think it was Matsamune? No. I can't remember, I apologise. Anyway, one of my very loyal viewers, who I'm saddened to see, I can't remember which one, gifted me Lords of the Fallen. I played it, and I hated it. Didn't like it at all, and it actually made it into my worst games of 2014 list. If you want to see my reasons why I didn't like it, go watch my top 5 best and worst games of last year. I didn't like it. There's a playlist for it, by the way, so you can find it easily. It's not for me. I don't like a lot of the stuff they did in it, sadly. The game looked great. The visuals were great. That was great and good mixed together there in a kind of mumble. But yeah, Lords of the Fallen, sadly, I didn't like it. Red commented next. Flik Cha-Cha with a Scythe versus Cha-Cha with Lightning Magic and Kezu versus Giganox. No ties allowed. Hang on, I need to parse this better. So, me as Cha-Cha with a Scythe versus another Cha-Cha who uses Lightning Magic with a Kezu. Sorry, they're together with a Kezu versus a normal Giganox. Obviously, me wielding a Scythe wins. The fact that I'm a Cha-Cha is irrelevant, or Shakalaka as the case may be. Speaking of which, in the DLC that got added this morning is the Kyumba and Cha-Cha cameo episodes for you. Unfortunately, they are G rank, so I haven't accessed them yet, and can't for a little while longer. But I'll get to them eventually. And the fun part is, it gives you gear for your cats to make them look like Cha-Cha and Kyumba. I don't know if it changes their meows to like the old Shakalaka noises. I hope it does, but we'll see. Also, next month, June, is when the Dante cat gear is getting added, which looks fantastic. So yeah, I'm going to go with I win, and then, or me as a Cha-Cha with a Scythe wins just because of the Scythe. The Giganox is resistant to lightning, I think. I can't quite remember. It's been a while since I played 3U. So I would assume the Cha-Cha with Lightning Magic and Kezu would lose to the Giganox, and I can kill Giganoxes. So there you go. That's my reasoning for that. Kuno K says money ruins everything. All what game developers care about now is money. There is a reason for that. I miss the good old days of gaming minus the terrible graphics. It's always been about money, unfortunately. Well, it's hard to weigh up passion versus common sense. You have to make stuff that's profitable, otherwise you can't keep making stuff. So I agree absolutely that money does ruin certain things, usually when publishers are involved more so than developers. Activision, EA, Warner Brothers, where they know they're onto a good thing, so they just milk the cash cow. That's not quite the same as a developer who is passionate about wanting to make a good project, but it also does have to make them money, otherwise they won't get to do anything else. Bloodborne was very clearly a passion project for Miyazaki, and thankfully it sold 1 million copies on PS4 alone, so it's definitely profitable. So he's found the good medium there. He's done something that had passion put into it, despite the fact it also has to make money, and has made money. So, you know, he's achieved the goal there. Whereas someone like Activision or EA, etc., you know, they're shitting out 1 or 2 or 3, who cares, Call of Duty games per year because twats keep buying them, even though they're all the same. That's the bad side of, you know, money driving the industry, and it's a shame because the more this works, the more it kills the chance that someone will try something different. Because if it fails, people will remember that it fails, and then they'll be less likely to try something different again. And that's why we keep on getting stuck with Call of Duty 9, Assassin's Creed 15, you know. It's a shame. I don't think that's directly the fault of money. There is nothing wrong with wanting to earn a living. And that's important to remember, I feel. Don't be driven by money, but don't assume that money isn't something you need to worry about. It is. You've got to provide for yourself, your company, your family. You know, on every level, there's some way that money is required, because that's the way it is in our society. So I don't think it's fair to blame money. You can definitely blame greed, absolutely blame greed, but not quite blame the need for money, in my opinion. Anyway, we've got 3 more comments to go through. So here we go. Iron Paladin, hey Flik, I haven't been watching for a while and that makes me feel bad. That's okay. I put out a lot of videos, I know everybody can't watch all of them. So I want you to request a drawing from me. I ask that it be video game themed though. Also your comments can make commenters can make suggestions too if you like. I had artist block for a while anyway. So this is the gent who drew that picture of Mr. Torg riding a Brachydios for me. So let's see. I think it's a good idea to ask my commenters, and I think it should be Monster Hunter themed because that's kind of sticking with the theme. Is there any kind of interesting visual that Iron Paladin might draw that you can think of that might have something to do with my series of For You? Maybe like... Oh, that'd be a bit cruel. I'll say it anyway. Like Kyumba, just like roundhouse kicking or punching a palico. Like it's my hunter or my minion. They both call you minion, so like my minion. Like the shakalakas are back, so who needs palicos? That comes to mind. If you have a better idea, put it in the comments. And well, I'll probably still read them out when I'm recording the next week, but hopefully Iron Paladin will just read the comments himself and also get ideas. And if you finish it in time, I can show it off. Always happy to show off any art that people will do for me. Next, Nicodemus82. I'd recommend starting with Hiragana again. Well, that's good because I have. Since you already remember most of it, you'll get through them pretty quickly. It should be fairly easy to fully memorize both Hiragana and Katakana within a couple of weeks. I certainly hope so. It's kanji that's going to be the real grind. Yeah, I never got that far, and I'm aware that the difference between that is kana, hiragana, and katakana are phonetic, whereas kanji is like, you know, it's the super complex symbols which impart like almost like full sentences, as it were, full concepts rather than just phonetic sound. So yeah, it's difficult. For your kana study, I'd recommend an app called Stick Study Kana. It's interesting. I wonder what that is. I could search for it on my phone. Actually, I'll do it. I'll read out the comments and keep searching on my phone with my free hand. You hear it click, but other than that, really though, the best way you're going to learn, you're going to improve your Japanese is to actually use it with native speakers if possible. Well, that one's going to be. Oh, actually, that brings up a nice point. I got probably the nicest email I've ever received from a Japanese viewer who is watching my Monster Hunter series named Yuki, and they've been sending me photos of the progress of their character, and hopefully, even though it's going to be 3 AM for them, they're going to try and get to, well, for me tomorrow night, but for you the Saturday that just went, Monster Hunter night, and I really hope they do. And they said they got a family member to help them translate it into English because their English isn't, you know, second language. It would be very nice if I learned enough Japanese to actually hold a conversation with them in return for sending such a very nice email to me. And if you're curious what they said, and I did actually post a picture of it on Twitter. Anyway, let's go to the App Store. What else did you say? If you're really interested, I could put you in contact with some native Japanese speakers. I would be interested, but not yet. I need to catch back up to where I was. I need to go back to the basics of sentence structure and, you know, all that stuff. So the name of that app that you said is trending searches. Piss off, Apple. Sticky. No, I pressed an S. Sticky Study Kana. Sticky Study Kana. Let's have a little look at this. Emails as well. I apologise for the noise. Oh yeah, there it is. Ooh, it's a premium one though, isn't it? $7.99 for an app. That is pretty expensive. So what is it? Let's see. It's a learning aid for kanji then. And I assume the basic kana as well. Now with native speaker audio, the #1 Japanese flashcard app. Ah, so it's flashcards. Well, I have Hiragana and Katakana sorted, thankfully. However, I don't have any kanji, but I assume the people who did that I showed off at the start will probably, in fact I'm almost certain I remember seeing it in the recommended buys, kanji version as well. So, now was that more expensive than the $7.99 app? I can check that actually. If anyone else is interested, I suppose it's worth me checking this out to see what the best deal is. Let's see. Oh, wrong email. Learn Japanese, that's the one. Oh, it's cheaper. That big box of flashcards I got was £10 with free postage. So yeah, the app is actually cheaper. However, I like the physical thing, plus it means I don't need to have my phone with me if I wanted to study them. Or like first or last thing at night before bed, I would have the flashcards just next to me, just go through them one more time. That's the only way I know how to learn anything now, that I'm old and stupid. I just have to drill it in. It has to just be drilled in via repetition. It's the only thing that works for me now. When I was younger, I was much smarter. Well, maybe not. I was just, you know, when you're younger, your brain absorbs information easier. You have to work at it more the later you wait. So if you are interested in learning another language, regardless of what language it is, and you're young, start now! Even if you can't get classes, just do a little bit of studying in your private time. It'll help. And as Nico here said, ideally get around those who speak the language natively and you'll learn it. You'll pick it up from them. Anyway, as per usual, as it turns out, the final... Oh, also we went on for quite a while. The final comment is from Reaper. And he says, I think the way that Steam did the paid mods model messed it up. While the idea behind is fundamentally good, paying people for the work that they did, the biggest part that annoyed me was the cut that the makers were getting, 25%. Valve doesn't get 75%. Valve gets 30%, sorry. And then the 70% that's left over is split. So 55, yeah. Don't do maths. 45 goes to Bethesda. Don't do maths when on camera. Never ever. Still looking forward to your New Game Plus run. By the time you read this, I should finally have the Platinum Trophy. Yes, you told me on Steam, you have indeed. Now, the problem with that is, to get the Platinum Trophy in Bloodborne, you need to have seen all endings. Now, in my blind playthrough, I got the first ending. In this playthrough of the character I'm taking into New Game for the purposes of the playthrough, I'm getting the best, well, you know, the hardest to get ending. And then that leaves the middle ending, which ideally I would love to get in this New Game Plus playthrough, but I can't because people will want to see me do the full super secret final boss, so I think I'm screwed out of the Platinum Trophy as a result, but that's okay, I don't really care about trophies. As for Dark Souls Scholar of the First Sin, I stopped doing PvP. That's a lie, because you just told me earlier that you are addicted to it, and because you're on the Book of Sin, thanks to all the players you murdered, you keep on getting invaded by people wanting to get the guilty, you know, whatever it's called. Have not found any NPCs yet. Some of the new summons are pretty cool. Yes, I agree with that. Time for a question. Part of the comment, what makes the scythe your favourite weapon? I'm not sure. I just like it as a very elegant, rarely seen weapon, and also when you do see it, it's rare for a game to implement it in such a way that it isn't a clumsy mess like Dark Souls 2, where the scythe is really just a pickaxe because you just go That's the only attack animation. And I would say that Bloodborne does scythe very well. I can't think of many other games actually that do it proper. I guess the scythe, it's not really a scythe, but in Monster Hunter 4, the switch axe that has a scythe, that, as a result of having kind of set animations, is also good. But I don't know, I find it an elegant weapon. I like the way it looks. I think it looks intimidating, and as I say, it's a rare weapon. It's a rare form of weapon to see. Other than that, I like katanas and greatswords. Those are my other two kind of go-to weapons. By the way, thank you to everyone who is watching the Scholar of the First Sin playthrough. We're getting through it quite quickly now that it's daily, although we are still honestly quite far ahead in what we're recording. And that could be the dog barking at the post, so I think I should probably wrap up here very quickly. Thank you very much for listening. I shall see you again next Monday. By the way, I'll do Patreon shoutouts next Monday because I'm doing this too early. I'm recording this on May 1st, so I have to wait a little bit. And I'll also announce who won their copy of Bloodborne from me. See you next week. Ta-ta for now.